we also have the wellness area, which is physical.
Nanay ko.
By physical, we mean that you are actually refraining from engaging in harmful practices. You eat well, you sleep well, you also take care of yourself, physically speaking. How many hours of sleep do you have at night?
4 hours.
8 hours, no? That's very nice, no?
Ikaw, Brad.
That's very nice. 5 hours.
5 na lang siguro.
3
Ako mo.
hours?
Yan.
Oh, if you only have 3 hours, so you might have a lot of sleep then.
Hindi na makatulog ng 8 hours.
Marami ka ng
4, 5, yan.
Because, but you know, sometimes I overheard a comment, which I agree with. The older we get,
Lalo pag marami kang iniisip, hindi ka makatulog lang ko.
for
Oh.
nice sleep, no? It tends to be early waking.
Correct.
But
Yung
you
sa
can
2013 sana, may
always
pinya na.
during the day, where you
Sabi natin si
feel
Brad J.
really
Ay, oo, dapat na ganyan siya.
But you know it is best
Background
that we sleep during
Tama
certain
lang yun.
hours of the night,
Dapat pinya talaga.
which we would say the best
Recover yung
time for us to
2013 at saka yung
sleep
8.
from 10 in the
Tapos
evening
yung dahon niya, hindi tabunan niya.
in the morning. And that's
Hindi
when
tabunan
our
yung
body undergoes repair during these hours
Siguro from the
of
top, hindi
sleep.
matutong.
And it will always be best to sleep when it's really
ganyan lang.
dark
Yung
to
dahon
allow
niya.
the melatonin to produce itself naturally and so make us really sleep well. That's why may anak na merong medicine which is sleep well, I think. If some people have problems with sleep, and it's actually melatonin. I try taking that too because I sometimes have problems going to sleep as well. And then
Matulog ka, katulog ka lang naman to.
the social
Social.
wellness.
Oh.
Again, I think you have no problem with your social wellness because
Hindi.
you can work
Pagkatulugon ka, hindi ka man pwede matulog kami ginagawa ka. Pero pag gusto mo na matulog, hindi ka makatulog.
And because it is international in nature, your adaptability, your capacity to get along with different people and diverse in nature is leading you to have a good social wellness. And then, next, sir, is our intellectual wellness. And so in the intellectual arena, we look at how updated we are. If we continue to read, to listen, to watch relevant programs, which would also keep us aware of world views and world stories, and therefore can make us realize how this would impact us. Like if, for example, we also try to monitor what's going on in Ukraine and Russia, and then what are the impacts of their conflict to our own economy, to our supply of coal, of wheat, etc., etc. Now that's really our intellectual wellness. And of course, we have the financial wellness. Well, with the financial wellness, I don't think you may have problems on this. But for some, they may not be able to manage their credit card use. Diba? You might know of some who may end up having incurred a lot of debts and therefore would have problem accessing this. And of course, occupational wellness. And when we speak of the occupational wellness, the question there is, are you enjoying your work?
Yes,
Are
of
you
course.
enjoying your job? How many are still active in the profession that they do? Yay! How many of us? Okay. How many have already turned to private citizenship? Yay! Wow.
Mga SE.
But they are glowing! Yay!
Mga
It's
pensionado.
because you're happy with what you do. And after your work in an organization, in an entity or an agency, but you still do beyond your career, then that is really amazing as an occupational wellness. So for those who are on the verge of retiring, sino nila ang kasama ko na mag-retire in 3 years time? Yeah! We're planning
Ayan,
to
di.
retire. Yeah, we are in this mask. No, pretty mask.
Ako 3 years.
Kumusta ang SSS mo, Brad? Nakop up mo? Bakit?
Wala naman ko, regular naman ko.
Excited and
Naabot mo ng kwan?
passionate about, and therefore we are getting wiser
Dati.
as the days go by. And not just simply stay at home and say, life is
Malaking negosyo yan, oy.
no
Malam.
more work. Come on! You can still do something. You can still do your community work. You can still do exercise.
Lajing.
You can still do a lot of things. Transform into a best version of yourself. And so that makes
Sino naghatid sa inyo, Brad?
to look to this day.
Sino nag-drive ng sasakyan mo pa uwi?
Still being able to do the things like dance, we try.
Kala ko iniwan mo sa airport.
But that gives us now
Pwede man iwan.
Oo.
Saan ka pwede mag-iwan?
Sa airport, magbayad ka lang.
Isn't it?
Uy. Di ba, Brad, pwede? Iwan ang sasakyan.
Go, go!
Magbayad ka lang.
Ay, banday na sa may
The
initan.
environment.
Takpan mo na lang.
Uwi, muna na kalapit ko lang.
In environmental
Sa bagay.
I'm sure we have agriculturists here. We have environmentalists here. And this has to do with how we can also manage the care of our environment. If we reduce, recycle, reuse, and we spend time with nature. Because it's the best way that we can be energized. Now, at this point now, how do we look at this? I have these two
Ako yung mga
questions.
amo.
Which dimensions are you having success in?
Which dimension would you like to
Would you
improve?
like to improve on?
Lahat.
Probably. If I have to answer my own questions, I am successful in my spiritual and intellectual wellness. But I am poor at my physical wellness. What about this? Reflect naman dyan. I would like to share one's answers. Where are you having success? And where do you want to improve on? As I said, as I shared my own reflections, I have success in my spiritual and intellectual wellness, but I am poor in my physical wellness. I have a lot of, to be honest, siguro mas silita mo. Kami din! Kami din!
Oo.
Yes, yes, yes!
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, don't be the young ones who probably would say, no, no, no. But many of us would say, yes, yes, yes. And therefore, the joke is, when we were young, we still have a little salary and we cannot afford probably to buy the food that we wanted to eat, right? But now that we are more stable, we have the money to buy what we want to eat. But again, we are told, oops,
Wag lang sa lady.
dahan-dahan lang, because we have to consider also
Tama lo, kasi
other.
dapat yung mag-beat food.
So, that's the reason
Bukid nun.
why I have low physical wellness. Would like to share one's answer.
Wag na lang, Brad. No
Where you're
comment.
successful at,
Mag-
where you would like to improve on. Anyone? One or two like to
Pura
share
galing
their
pinsan, pumulok.
reflections?
Wala sila kabalo nga grabe ang effort siya pumulok sa pinsan.
No wrong answer, by the way.
Yes.
No wrong answer. All answers are individualized. And therefore, because they are individualized, they are yours.
which dimensions are you having
Success.
success in? Now, maybe I am on my way to the spiritual success. Because during the pandemic, actually, we have an online prayer meeting, 4 to 6 every day. We have our daily rosary, then Bible sharing, then rest from 6 to 7 in the morning. 7 to 8 we do our liturgy. And then go to church, like that. So the pandemic actually has helped me spiritually. But since high school, I was already searching for the truth and getting closer to the Lord every day of my life. And the only struggle that I have is that daily I will be able to please the Lord. That I could say that maybe, and I am so excited every day to face the Lord. So I am really ready, and we are that close to the Lord. I experience miracles every day. Yeah. And then, which dimensions would you like to improve on? There's a lot, but maybe the things, the dimension that I would like to share with you is maybe the most important as of now. The environmental dimension. We have really to do something about it because it has to be today. That we have to do things. We will experience the calamities always, maybe more often, more frequent in the days ahead because of the change in temperature. Every 2 degrees of warming, raising the temperature, will give us all these calamities, earthquakes, storms, and we have to do something. And we, as an organization, as a fraternity, sorority, we have to do tree planting along the banks of the river so that when rain comes, the sun, the siltation will not go to the riverbed. It will not flow to the river, making it dirty. If the trees are there along the banks, and the Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity did it, because we have in every chapter, in almost all municipalities, we have Sigma Alpha Epsilon members. No? Then we will influence everybody to plant trees, maybe because from the riverbed, from the bank, we are given 15 meters easement